Well, well, well. If you thought science was all about photosynthesis and Newton's laws, think again. The National Science Bowl Finals in Washington, D.C. are the Oscars of the science world, and I had the honor of being a front row spectator and proud participant. Imagine 500 plus teams all competing to become the national champion in an intense, fast-paced, buzzing competition. It's like the Hunger Games of science, but with a lot less starvation and a lot more calculation. My team had done exceptionally well and won the regional competition, but we knew we would be competing against all the other regional winners at the national finals, so it would be a tough journey ahead. We had to work even harder and smarter to have any shot at becoming the Science Bowl national champion. Did we achieve this goal? Stay till the end to find out. To give some background, I first participated in Science Bowl in 2021, where my team won the regionals and placed 5th at nationals, all of which were held virtually. In 2022, the pandemic ruined the plans again. The regional competitions had to go virtual, but our team won the regionals again. The National Science Bowl announced an in-person final competition in Washington, D.C. We were over the moon with the excitement, but then the pandemic had to ruin the party yet again. An NSB, National Science Bowl, decided to add a virtual semifinal in May to reduce the number of teams invited for the in-person finals. Unfortunately for me, the semifinal date coincided with the MATHCOUNTS national competition. You can see a more detailed video about my MATHCOUNTS national experience on this channel. The link is in the description. Interestingly, I had to attend the National Science Bowl semifinal from my MATHCOUNTS hotel room in DC. Throughout the day, I was running back and forth between the MATHCOUNTS events and Science Bowl rounds. But it was all worth it, as our team placed 3rd and we were selected to attend the in-person event to be held in Washington, D.C. in July. I was excited about the thought of coming back to D.C. in just a few months. The summer was intense as we all studied hard, dividing the subjects and doing many practice rounds. We were ready. It was a long and grueling flight, but I was determined to make the most of my time. I loaded up my laptop with materials to review. When we reached DC, we took an Uber to our destination, the Bolgor Center. We were mesmerized by the beauty of the facilities as we were surrounded by beautiful greenery, colorful flowers, and enough open space to run a marathon. If we weren't also tired, that is. As we arrived at the hotel, we were greeted by a sea of green and blue carpets leading up to the main entrance. These hotel grounds were a stark contrast to the MATHCOUNTS contest, which was hosted in a downtown hotel in the heart of the city and had no green spaces. We were the first team to arrive, and we couldn't resist taking a few snaps in the registration room. We were like kids in a candy store, surrounded by stacks of t-shirts just waiting to be claimed. Unfortunately, they were all for the organizers, and we had to wait for the participant t-shirts, which were in a different room. As we settled in, we discovered that there were 9 middle school teams that had been invited to the middle school division of the National Science Bowl. There had been a tie for 8th place in the semifinals, so both of those 8th place tying teams were invited. To make things even better, our high school team, Lynbrook, had also qualified for the national competition as part of the high school division. We couldn't wait to meet them and pick their brains for tips and tricks. Exhausted from the long flight and all the excitement, we decided to grab dinner and hit the bed. Tomorrow was going to be a big day, and we needed all the energy and rest that we could get. Next morning, We woke up feeling refreshed, thanks to the comfy beds at the Bulgur Center. We headed down to the breakfast buffet and were greeted with a spread that would make even the pickiest of eaters drool. Fruits, eggs, yogurt, potatoes, scrambled eggs, pancakes, French toast. The list went on. And let's not forget about the bagels and muffins. They were a game changer. We chowed down on our breakfast, and I had a great time chatting and giggling with my teammates. After breakfast, it was time to get to work. We had a team strategy session to prepare for the big event. We all huddled in a room and tried to figure out some strategies. But, let's be real, we spent more time cracking jokes and having a good time than actually practicing. Feeling a bit jet-lagged, we took a little nap break in the lobby, rocking our Miller Science t-shirts that we had designed ourselves. We took a few team photos and headed off to lunch at the dining hall. The food was top-notch. Salad bar, French fries, burgers, and incredible desserts. I really enjoyed every meal and concluded that the food at the Bulgur Center was way better than what I had at MATHCOUNTS. Later that afternoon, Science Bowl organized a trip for all the participants to visit some famous DC landmarks. We hopped on a bus and headed to the Jefferson Memorial, then the Washington Monument, then the Vietnam Memorial, the Lincoln Memorial, and even found the California Pillar. This time around, the crowds were a bit more manageable, giving us a better chance to snap some photos. By the end of the day, we found ourselves at the Einstein Memorial, and they had a giant statue of Einstein there. All the different teams gathered. We caught up with our high school team and wished each other good luck for the upcoming contest. This was my second trip to DC in just 2 months, and I was falling in love with this beautiful city all over again. With so many unique and interesting statues that I stumbled upon, there was always something new to discover. Next day was the Cyber Challenge. The middle schoolers had purple t-shirts and the high schoolers had yellow. After breakfast, we reached the contest room, excited to tackle the Cyber Challenge. The competition was fierce and intense, with teams battling it out in the war of minds. We had an incredible morning where we solved a series of intriguing puzzles and challenges. Our team did great on many puzzles, but got stuck in a few and ended up on the middle of the board. Next was the Discovery Challenge. We felt like chemists in the lab as we built 4 different batteries out of different materials like lemon, aluminum, copper, etc. We got a little carried away making them, so we didn't even have enough time to finish answering all the written questions. We thought this was just a fun event, but didn't realize that it would bite us in the back and reduce our overall rank later on. Amidst all the pressure, we still managed to have a good laugh and bond with the other teams. We even got a super cool fidget spinner with LED lighting, and of course, we had so much fun playing with it afterwards. And just like that, the day was over, and we all gathered to catch our breaths. We reminisced about the highlights of the day, shared a few laughs, and congratulated each other on a job well done. In the evening, all the teams went to the theater where we were given instructions about the official rules and logistics for the competition the next day. Then, NSB opened the contest rooms for teams to practice. We quickly coordinated with other teams to do some practice rounds. Since these were unofficial, we were able to record the rounds and take some pictures.
Number 2, math short answer. In a triple elimination tournament with 512 contestants, what is the maximum? Concept number 17, Earth and space short answer. Using carbon-14
This evening was a great time to practice team strategies. We also got familiar with the buzzers and timers, as well as the tiny notepads and pens provided. We had an intense and super close game where the other team came from behind to win on the last question. This was a good awakening for us and made us even more determined. We had another practice round against a different team. I don't even remember the result, but these practices were crucial as it helped us identify and improve our strategies. But amidst all the excitement, we missed one very important aspect in these practices, which will come back to haunt us in the real competition. More on that ahead. And just like that, the moment of truth had arrived. Science Bowl Competition Day was finally here, and the nerves were palpable in the air. We all gathered in our respective colors. Middle schoolers wearing green and high schoolers wearing blue. All the teams assembled looking like a sea of green and blue. It took a while, but they managed to get us all lined up for the perfect group picture. As all the teams lined up, we looked like an army ready to conquer the world of science. I wonder how many people from that picture would go on to win the Nobel Prize or Fields Medal. Soon the round-robin stage started, where each team went against all other 8 teams to determine the seeding. No phones or cameras were allowed in the official rounds, but fear not, for there was an official photographer on hand to capture all the nail-biting, heart-stopping moments. They got some candid shots, contestants with sweat on their brow, biting their nails in anticipation, holding their head in disbelief, and throwing their hands up in exultation when they got a question right. The morning was filled with back-to-back matches. In the first match, we went against one of the top teams. When the questions were read, we buzzed in super fast and blurted out the answer before being recognized. In the official rounds, there is an official recognizer who calls out the person who buzzed to say the answer. We were not used to waiting for the recognizer, as we were only used to the virtual events, and this was our first in-person contest ever. When this happened, our answer did not count, and the other team got a free chance to answer. Almost everyone on my team made this mistake, as we were used to answering as soon as we buzzed. We lost several questions to this brain fade, and this was a huge setback, and we ended up losing the first round badly. Luckily for us, we had a break after our first round, so we went outside the building and practiced not blurting out the answer, until we were called out after buzzing. This had been almost a subconscious reaction to speak the answer right after buzzing, so it was a little tricky to rewire our brains. The next round, we began nervously, being extra careful to avoid blurting like last time. We heaved a huge sigh of relief when we won that round without any hiccups. The day went on as we moved from contest room to contest room. The Bulgur Center had a wide-ranging selection of snacks and drinks, which we were really thankful for as we needed to refuel and energize in between rounds. After a few rounds, we got a break for lunch and played some games in the recreation room. The round-robin stage went from morning all the way till 5 p.m. It was a wild and intense journey. I can't just imagine the excitement and nerves that everyone experienced as each round went by. The jolt that we got from our first loss was instrumental in making us hyper-focused and determined, and we won the next 7 games in round robin, tying for first. Another team, the team that originally beat us in the first round, had the same 7-1 record. But because of our lower score on the Discovery Challenge, we were unfortunately seeded second. Our high school team lost all their round robin matches, and were looking set for a quick exit. But boy oh boy, they staged a fairy tale comeback in the elimination round. Talk about making the best of a bad situation. as they turn their round-robin losses into fuel for their elimination round fire. Stay tuned for the juicy details on that. We all went for an early dinner as the elimination rounds were happening that evening. For those who are new to Science Bowl, they use a double elimination rule, so teams must lose twice before they're eliminated. As the stakes became higher, the elimination round questions got much harder. Much harder. As a second seed, we were high on confidence as we prepared against a team who we had outscored by a big margin earlier in the day. However, this round turned out to be a nail-biter. Luckily, a smart strategy at the end allowed us to emerge victorious. 3 more wins were needed to make the finals. The second elimination round luckily turned out to be an easy win. At this point, we checked out the brackets to figure out that we would be through to the finals if we win just one of the next 2 games. But we also knew that the next 2 teams were against the top 2 teams at the virtual semifinals, so it was going to be a tough road ahead. In the 3rd round of elimination, we messed up on a few easy questions and lost. Luckily, we still had one more chance in the next round. After a full day of intense competition, we were exhausted but also determined as we knew that this was the last hurdle before the finals. It was a really close game, and we had a narrow 14-point lead at the half. But the other team pulled through in the last few minutes, and we were gutted when we ended on the losing side with a very narrow margin. We pulled ourselves together, congratulated the other team, and wished them luck for the finals. Interestingly, our high school team, despite losing all their preliminary matches, was undefeated in the elimination rounds and somehow made the finals. What an incredible comeback they had made. Next morning, we wore blue polos and the high schoolers wore green polos. This was my favorite t-shirt from Science Bowl, as you may have seen me wearing for the Mastering AMC 1012 video series. The top 2 teams in both middle and high divisions were given white polos. We took pictures with our high school team and wished them luck for the finals. The gates opened and all the teams rushed into the grand theater. When we saw the lineup of trophies, we jumped with joy as we realized for the first time that 3rd place was also going to get a trophy. And then came the moment we had all been waiting for, the final round. As the 2 teams took the stage, we couldn't help but wonder how close we had come to being there. Our hearts were racing as we watched Odell Middle School beat Jonas Clark by the slimmest of margins to become the champions. The high school finals was next, and we were rooting for our high school team and hoped they would win. Our beloved Lynbrook High School team kept their cool and won. We were cheering so loud, you could hear us all the way from the National Mall. It was incredible to see Lynbrook make an epic comeback, taking the championship. They were even shouting 4 and 7, representing the amount of wins and losses they had, losing all their masters in round robin and winning every single elimination round is what you call a fairy tale ending. If someone made a movie about science geeks battling out on the biggest stage, now that's a movie I'd pay good money to see on the big screen. After the final rounds, the prize distribution started with a hilarious speech by a famous TV personality. He had the whole auditorium in stitches, which was a welcome relief after all the intense competition.
Win or lose, you know, you get 4 days in the nation's capital and you get to lead charmed lives. You don't have to pay taxes. The government is paying you. The government is paying you. They're paying for your plane ticket. They're paying for 4 days here at this beautiful Bolger Center, and they are paying for all of the ice cream that you want to eat. For many of you, it seems that ice cream is the real reason you're here. It's the elixir of your lives.
Interestingly, we had a power outage for several hours on the day before, and he made fun of the fact that an event hosted by the Department of Energy lost energy.
Good morning. I understand it rained so hard that you lost power. Congratulate the third place team, Miller Middle School from San Jose. Come on up. Miller Middle School will be receiving $2,000 for their school's science department.
As the winning teams were announced, we were ecstatic to receive a trophy for placing third and got some memorable pictures. We had experienced everything: the nerves, excitement, the thrill of victory, and the agony of defeat. And let's not forget the bittersweet feeling of coming in third place.
For the first time ever, as national champions, would you please welcome from San Jose, California, Lynbrook High School. All right, here we go. And I'm sure just one of many awards you're going to be getting in your lifetime. Thank you, guys.
Later that afternoon, we went to an amazing museum, the Museum of Natural History. The museum visit was a much needed break from the pressure of the competition. We got to be carefree and goof around like kids, exploring the wonders of the natural world. There were giant dinosaur statues, cool rocks, and even a giant 45-carat diamond from India. Finale of the evening, the celebration dinner with all the participants and coaches was a real treat. Unlike MATHCOUNTS, they didn't have a giant screen or a dance stage, but they made the evening interesting by calling all the team captains to the front and handing them a big bag of Science Bowl goodies like t-shirts, water bottles, frisbees, and many more.
So your team can come bring your bag back, and then you might be like, I already have this stuff, I don't want this stuff. And other teams might be like, I already have this stuff, and none of this crap fits me. So your goal for the rest of the night is to try to trade some things so that people get what they want.
That's right, we had to trade the items that we didn't want with the other teams who had better items. We even ended up scoring more free leftover t-shirts that they were giving. The bargaining discussions and negotiations was a great way to bond and make new friends, and showed us that we may have been competitors, but at the end of the day, we were all just science-loving nerds at heart. We still left feeling like champions, with memories and experiences that will last a lifetime. The last day was pack up, check out, and return flight. The Science Bowl was truly an experience to remember, and we all left with greater appreciation for the subject and a newfound love for Science Bowl. Just like the Science Bowl finals, my experience at MATHCOUNTS Nationals was unreal, and you can find that experience in this video. You can click on it right here. I hope this video inspired you to dive deeper in the world of science, and maybe even participate in some competitions like Science Bowl and MATHCOUNTS. All in all, it was an incredible experience I'll never forget. We may not have won, but at least I collected over 10 free t-shirts. If you found this video enjoyable, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ask any questions about Science Bowl in the comments below.